a top 3 best assault rifles coolware tier list that you gotta get your hands on ASAP. Ladies and gents, my name is Xander, aka Diaside, and in this video it's all about 3 assault rifles, which I'm not going to discuss right now, but you're gonna find out in just a second, and of course some honorable mentions. One of those that you might see right now is the AK-47. Sorry, that's a little bit of a spoiler, but the reason why I didn't make this list is simply because it's too freaking good. I'm telling you, I'll get more into that in just a little bit, but without any further ado, the only thing left to do is just to simply sit back, relax, hit that like button, and let's jump right into the video. Making itself known in the number 3 spot is the QBZ-83. The reason why the QBZ makes this list is because number 1, it's very versatile, and number 2, it's consistent in just about every single range that you can possibly imagine. The only ones in which it can't do well in is in cross-map distances, and actually, this weapon's optimal effective range is at 45 meters. Most maps in this entire game only have 40 meters at the most that you're going to be shooting, and so in most cases, this thing's going to do its optimal damage output for 45 for a crit and 32 for a body in every single scenario. Now some of you might be asking yourselves the question, okay, well what about TTK? Marvelous question, Diaslayers, and to be exact, this thing's then going to take 5 body shots, which is then going to associate to a 0.352 second TTK. Now if you happen to get 2 crits and 2 bodies, this TTK is going to get even better, as then it goes down to 0.264 seconds, and that right there is excellent. Now just in case you happen to find yourself outside those ranges in those cross-map distances, do know that this thing has a bullet velocity at 625 meters per second, and this is very good to know because remember, bullet velocity dictates bullet drop. With a higher bullet velocity, you're going to have less bullet drop, and that then means that you're going to be able to do more damage at longer distances, and also keep in mind that the way in which this works the best is if you happen to have a great recoil. This thing definitely has that. The QBZ only has a vertical recoil that's a little bit to the left at approximately a 20-degree angle, and that's once again what makes it so unbelievably consistent. With a fast ADS speed at 0.28 seconds, you really can't go wrong, and so overall, this QBZ is going to do amazing in close mid-ranges and maybe even those far ranges, just in case you happen to find yourself in those, so no matter what you find yourself in, this QBZ's got you covered. Making itself known in the number 2 spot is the Groza. And the reason why this Groza makes this list is because of the phenomenal buff this thing just got, happening just a few weeks ago in March. To be exact, this weapon's range is now buffed from 38 meters all the way up to 53 meters without having any damage fall-off whatsoever. That right there is spectacular, outstanding, and gorgeous in so many ways that I can't even begin to describe to you as to how amazing that actually is. Furthermore, you're then going to be doing 34 for a body and 47 for a crit, making it so that all you simply need is 5 body shots or 4 crits, actually 2 crits and 2 bodies, to still get the amazing outstanding optimal TTK at 0.24 seconds. Now just in case you happen to hit body shots and body shots alone, it's still got a great TTK at 0.32 seconds, and so no matter how that you look at this thing, you really can't go wrong. Now keep in mind what I said from earlier. What does bullet velocity do? It makes it so you have less bullet drop at longer distances, and with this bullet velocity at 650 meters per second, oh my gosh, this thing's going to be hitting those ranges like nobody else, and that's why it makes this number 2 spot. So one downside here is that it is a little bit inconsistent, and the sight itself really isn't the best for most people, and so you might have to use a sight. I personally actually like the iron sight, but that's just me. It can be a little bit tedious to really master, but once you do, I'm telling you, this thing's going to be a laser beam, and you're going to have a fantastic ADS speed at 0.267 seconds, making it so that you're going to be able to get those close range distances very quickly, and at the very least, the long range distances, it's easily got that covered. So no matter where you happen to be on the map, you're going to be popping so many critical headshots, it's going to be like the Kingsman, and just like the skill saying goes, this Groza is going to make you taste the rainbow. Last but not least, we come to our number 1 spot, and the beauty that makes this representation here is the FFAR-1. Now some of you might be saying, hold on Xander, the FFAR isn't that good, but to you I say, it truly is. Number 1 being because in the past patch in March, this thing got a buff for a bullet velocity now at 705 meters per second in contrast to what it was at 625. Remember what this does for you in those long range distances. It's going to be able to have less bullet drop. Now although its optimal effective range is only at 38 meters, it's still fantastic because you're going to be able to land so many crits since this thing's recoil pattern is kind of like a semicircle. It's going to be up and to the right and then finishing vertical once again, making it very, very consistent. Now the reason why this is vital to understand is because you have got to land critical headshots if you want to be able to make this thing successful. Why do I say this? Because in reality, it's doing 27 for a body and 38 for a crit, which then associates to 6 body shots and 4 crits respectively. To be more precise, this weapon's body shot TTK is at 0.33 seconds, and you can't go wrong with that. It's very, very good in contrast to that of the Groza at 0.32 and that of the QBZ at 0.35 seconds. However, where this thing really shines is when you happen to land those 4 critical headshots. It's got an optimal TTK at 0.198 seconds. I'll say it again, 0.198 seconds. That right there is glorious in so many ways, so much to the point that in contrast to the Groza, it's actually at 0.24, and so in reality, it's actually faster than that by 0.05 seconds, and when we compare it to that of the QBZ, it's faster than that by 0.06 seconds. Obviously, this FFAR is going to be an absolute monster as long as you're landing those critical headshots, and so you've got to do so by making sure that you understand the weapon's recoil, and once you get that, its ADS speed is the one downside here at 0.3 seconds, but once you get that very good spatial map awareness and you land those shots, it's really not going to matter, and so you can land crit after crit after crit in close ranges and mid ranges. And so once again, I say to you, the FFAR is going to have your back. It's going to make sure that you're going to absolutely annihilate, decimate, and eradicate every single player in your path, making them a little bit salty. Now we can't have a top 3 list without having, of course, some honorable mentions. As I mentioned from the very beginning of the video, the AK-47 is simply too OP to make this list. My friends, its optimal TTK is at 0.2 seconds. I know it's crazy and just dumbfounding in so many ways, but it is what it is. And not just this, but it's got a very good bullet velocity of 409 meters per second, and to put a cherry on top, its optimal effective range is once again 38 meters. There's a reason why this AK-47 is banned from many competitive esports scenes, and thus it's because of this factor, because it can't be used in a wide variety of situations including esports, that the AK-47 didn't make this list but certainly deserves an honorable mention. And last but not least is the Ffar 83. The Ffar 83 is an absolute monster, and it can hit at ranges up to 63 meters without having any damage fall off at all. That right there alone is easily worthy of it making this honorable mention spot. The reason why I didn't actually make this list is because number 1, its optimal TTK is decent at 0.225 seconds, but I also want to keep in mind that you gotta land critical headshots, and this weapon's overall consistency, it can be mediocre at best. Because of that, it doesn't make this list. And having said that, I'm very curious to hear all your guys' thoughts about this down in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And if it's one way or the other, then by all means, let me know, because no matter what you guys say, you always know that I'm going to respect your opinions, and that's something that I can guarantee. That's much all I've got for you right now, Diaslayers, and as always, GG TNT.